tonight, a very disturbing trend is taking hold as President Trump is implementing his mass deportation policy. Looks like every time ICE is preparing to launch a large-scale enforcement operation in a liberal city, information about that raid is leaked. And now the administration is taking major steps to make sure that stops happening. Attorney General Pam Bondi warning yesterday right here on Fox News, quote, "If you leaked it, we will find out who you are. We will come after you." This after Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that she thought that FBI employees were the ones responsible for these leaks. Also tonight, our own Bill Maloogian reporting that Secretary Noem is asking the Treasury Department to allow IRS agents to be sent to the southern border to help enforce immigration law. Here with more is Trump administration border czar Tom Homan. Tom, where are these leaks coming from?
Well, look, we think it's coming from inside, and we know the first leak of Aurora is under current investigation. We think we identified that person under investigation right now. The California leak, Secretary Noem, she's correct. Some of the information we're receiving tends to lead toward the FBI. But I talked to the Deputy Attorney General all this weekend. They've opened up a criminal investigation. And they have promised that not only this person lose their job and lose their pension, they're going to go to jail. They're going to criminally prosecute. So we're all over it. We got the DHS IG investigating the first one. Have a pretty good idea what happened. Can't share a lot because it's under investigation. But the IG's opened up a criminal investigation on the second one. We're sending a strong message. It's just not, giving the bad guys a heads up so they can escape apprehension. Right? We're arresting, giving the Venezuela gang a heads up so we can't arrest them. You're putting officers' lives at risk. It's only a matter of time if we walk into a place where there's going to be a bad guy doesn't care. He's going to be sitting and wait for the officers to show up and ambush him. This is not a game. So DHS and DOJ are connected at the hip to hold these people responsible in a criminal fashion.
So yeah, that was Tom Homan talking about how Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove believes it has identified the leaker that's responsible for tipping off Venezuelan migrants before a large operation in Aurora, Colorado. They said not only will this person lose their job and their pension, but they will go to jail. Because this is pretty serious if you think about it. The leaked information let alleged members of the Venezuelan prison gang Tren de Aragua evade capture by ICE authorities. Instead, they were met with mostly empty apartments and buildings. And as Tom Homan put it, the leaks are just giving the bad guys a heads up so they can escape apprehension. Not to mention, they're putting officers' lives at risk. And this was no accident. In a separate leaking incident, the Los Angeles Times published an article just 2 weeks ago reporting that ICE is preparing for a large-scale immigration enforcement operation in Southern California at the end of February. Secretary Kristi Noem of the DHS, which ICE falls under, called out the FBI's supposed involvement, saying that the FBI is just so corrupt and they will work with any and every agency to stop leaks and prosecute those crooked deep state agents to the fullest extent of the law. In fact, we're already seeing this take place, guys. Attorney General Pam Bondi just filed a lawsuit against the state of New York and its governor, Kathy Hochul, and Attorney General Letitia James. Now, according to Pam Bondi, New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops. It stops today. Also charged is Mark Schroeder, Commissioner of New York Department of Motor Vehicles. Why the DMV, you ask? Well, you see, New York has these green light laws, also known as the Driver's License Act, which allows illegal immigrants to get a driver's license. Not only that, the law also prevents certain federal agencies from even accessing New York State's driver's license information, meaning they're blocking ICE investigations from taking place. Now, as Pam Bondi explained it, the law enforcement officers do not have access to their background. And if these great men and women pull over somebody and they don't have access to their background, well, they have no idea who they're dealing with. And it puts their lives on the line every single day. So the Trump administration is trying its best to keep our police officers safe. Just recently, the Justice Department asked a federal judge to strike down sanctuary policies in Illinois and Chicago. So Pam Bondi's warning these people now. They did it to Illinois, strike one. Strike two is New York. And if you're a state not complying with federal law, you're next. Get ready. They're just going to go harder from here on out, guys. In fact, Trump and Tom Homan said that they are not satisfied with the current numbers. Here, watch.
Sources tell News Nation that privately, the president says he is frustrated at the recent slide in ICE arrest numbers. Let's get out to border correspondent Allie Bradley, who joins us live from Del Rio, Texas. Allie, we know the administration's goal is about 12 to 1,500 arrests every single day, but how many are actually happening?
Yeah, right now, unfortunately, it seems that those numbers are slowing down a little bit and falling short there because we're only averaging around 611 arrests through ICE right now. And the president may have said publicly that he wasn't frustrated, but behind closed doors, he expressed that he wants more arrests. And he actually told sources that are familiar here that the numbers are, quote, too effing low. So when it comes to these numbers, something that we're tracking here, Borders' Tom Homan saying that he is pushing for higher numbers while still prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats. But here's the thing. Homan isn't happy with the numbers either. In fact, he wants to see them triple. Take a listen to what he told our Kelly Meyer this morning.
Mr. Homan, is the president happy with the number of arrests?
I'm not. The arrests, if you look at the arrests in interior enforcement, about 3 times higher than a year ago today. 3 times higher is good, but I'm not satisfied. There's more criminal aliens that need to be arrested, hundreds of thousands. Sanctuary cities are putting roadblocks up. We got leaks. So we need to increase the arrest of illegal aliens, especially those with criminal convictions. So we're going to continue. So 3 times higher is good. The numbers are good. For me, not good enough. We got to get enough.
So you heard him there. He's not satisfied. Homan, meantime, says that they need congressional funding to be successful in these efforts. They need bed space. Right now, they're utilizing government resources like Fort Bliss. We know Guantanamo Bay is receiving some flights, but they're also leaning on states like Georgia. We were able to confirm that the prison in Atlanta is actually being used to house illegal immigrants marked for deportation as well. Now, in order to actually help cover more ground here, because not just bed space that is an issue, we've seen all these different agencies jump in to help.
So yeah, they're cranking up the heat from here on out. Governor Ron DeSantis just signed an agreement that could soon deputize Florida Highway Patrol officers to perform the functions of federal immigration officers. And so basically, they're giving troopers the authority to exercise immigration power. You see, at least Florida gets it. Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles Executive Director Dave Kerner, he explained in their statement that Governor Ron DeSantis understands the role of law enforcement and he wants to provide the strongest immigration law possible, empowering law enforcement to get to work and deport illegal aliens residing in the state. William Smith, president of the Florida Highway Patrol chapter of Florida's Police Benevolent Association, commented that they're going to become the tip of the spear. Now, apparently, Ron DeSantis wasn't very happy with the new immigration reform bill passed by the Florida legislature. He said it fails to honor the promises to the voters, fails to meet the moment, and would actually weaken state immigration enforcement. So he took the matters into his own hands because for the governor, they must have the strongest law in the nation on immigration enforcement that will guarantee state and local deportation assistance, end catch and release, eliminate magnets such as remittances, and adopt supporting policies that will protect Floridians. He also wants to mandate that counties and cities participate in the federal deportation program and pushed for the authority to suspend officials who do not comply. He even wants to make it a state crime to enter the United States illegal and require the people show identification and their immigration status before sending money back home. Pam Bondi is done with these corrupt Democrats. The gloves are off and the Department of Justice is stepping in where Democratic leaders have failed badly. So what's going on in New York City? Why are Kathy Hochul and Letitia James so determined to protect non-citizens at the expense of American families? And how exactly did this crisis get so out of control? And why are Democrats more focused on their political agenda than the safety of their own citizens?
Good afternoon. I'm sorry we were a little bit late. I was in the West Wing swearing in Tulsi Gabbard, and so I just came straight back here. So thanks for being patient with us with the delay. We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. As you know, we sued Illinois, and New York didn't listen.
And real quick, guys, appreciate y'all being here. Thanks so much for hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. So President Trump's DOJ is not playing games anymore. In fact, New York City's reckless policies have finally caught up with them. And the consequences, they're coming fast. In fact, Bondi and Trump's allies, they are ready to hold these politicians accountable. So buckle up, guys. If you guys thought that things could not get any worse for Democrats, you're about to see just how wrong things can get. In fact, this is really bad news for Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, and Letitia James, the actual attorney general of New York that attacked Donald Trump and hit him with a $454 million lawsuit last year. Now, is it just me, guys? There's no way that his approval rating is only 53, right? I mean, even my Mexican-American friend told me recently her whole family, friends, husband, and herself fully approve and support of our president 10,000%. With tax priorities like Trump has, like who wouldn't, right? Just listen to White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt bring out the receipts on Trump's key tax demands for Congress. Here, watch this.
So these are the tax priorities of the Trump administration that the president has laid out for members in that meeting today. No tax on tips, which is obviously a very public campaign promise that the president made. No tax on seniors' Social Security. No tax on overtime pay. Renewing President Trump's 2017 middle-class tax cuts. Again, these are the president's priorities. Adjusting the SALT cap, eliminate all the special tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners, close the carried interest tax deduction loophole, tax cuts for Made in America products. This will be the largest tax cut in history for middle-class working Americans. The president is committed to working with Congress to get this done.
So not only is President Trump prioritizing the middle class by eliminating tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security benefits, but he's also lifting the $10,000 state and local tax deduction cap. But you know what the best part is? It's that Trump is actually making sports team owners and hedge fund managers pay for his campaign trail pledges. As Carolyn Leavitt explained earlier, this will be the largest tax cut in history for the middle class working American. Texas Republican lawmaker Brandon Gill just sent out a petition calling for Somali American Representative Omar to be arrested and deported to her birth country. Now, this after the squad member Congresswoman hosted workshops advising Somali-born citizens on what to do if they're questioned by ICE officials. Now, as Gill said in his email, the time has come to arrest and deport Omar. What do you guys think? Should she be arrested and deported? And it's not just the squad they're cracking down. Borders are. Tom Homan says that there's a leak at the FBI, and there have been critical leaks details about planned immigration raids, and in doing so, they're also putting officers' lives at risk. Now, Tom Homan says that he's been promised not only will this person lose their job and their pension, but they will go to jail. And think about it, guys. If the FBI is really leaking ICE information to these illegal migrants, Tom Homan explained that it's only a matter of time before they walk into a place where there's going to be a bad guy who just doesn't care. He's going to be sitting and waiting for the officers to show up and ambush them. So yeah, what these liberal sympathizers don't realize is that they're putting police officers' lives at risk. They're putting these police officers' lives in danger by leaking this ICE information. Well, no more, because Trump's administration is really cracking down, guys. Now, for one, the Justice Department, led by Attorney General Bondi, has just filed a lawsuit against the state of New York and its governor, Kathy Hochul, and Attorney General Letitia James, alleging a failure to comply with federal law by shielding illegal immigrants. As Bondi declared at a news conference, this is a new DOJ, and they're getting help too. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, he even signed an agreement that could soon deputize Florida Highway Patrol officers to perform the functions of federal immigration officers. They're taking action in the field too, guys. Just recently, Homeland Security raided this restaurant in Missouri. They went in for one person and actually nabbed 12 illegal immigrants in one go. The local sheriff had some words to say, though. Check this out. Nationally syndicated radio host Dana Loesch, she put it this way: Democrats just can't uncrazy themselves. Here she is on Jesse Waters' Primetime. Watch.
Dana Loesch is here. So how is the new Democratic Party going in February, Dana?
I think there are sanities on life support. Jesse, the stuff that you're playing is it's scary because it's true. They can't uncrazy themselves. This is a whole ideological belief set that is built on an ecosystem of rewarding this stuff. They reward the craziest people amongst them. They reward the craziest sound bites, the most insane proposals. I mean, to have somebody like Jasmine Crockett say blatantly racist things and there to be no accountability for that while they're simultaneously accusing everyone else of the offenses that they're actually carrying out against everyone. I mean, there's just no self-awareness. And by the way, I have to say, I have no idea what Joe Biden's going to do. This is the first time he's having to work in the private sector, I think, my whole life. I don't know that he's ever worked in the private sector. Maybe they're doing a Weekend at Bernie's part 2 or 3, and he's going for that. That would be great casting. So I could see, CAA having to get involved in that. But this party is off the rails. The only way to go for them is down. They're going to have to completely start all over again from scratch because they're never going to be able to be what they were, like the Kennedy Democrats in the 60s. They're never going to go back to that. The new members won't allow it.
I mean, just take a long, hard look at the top voices of the Democratic Party today, right? So you got Texas Representative Jasmine Crockett. She's always reminding everyone that she's a black woman every 35 seconds, as if your eyes might have deceived you, right? She talked about how with DEI, the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder. Now, I don't know about that because, just look at Trump's approval rating. It definitely seems like America's behind the president and his anti-DEI agenda. But Democrats, they just can't help themselves. When they were appointing a new chair to the DNC, they asked the candidates to raise their hand if they believe that racism or misogyny played a role in Kamala Harris's defeat. Every hand went up, including the audience. Now, guys, this is just downright DEI illusional. When they actually somehow persuaded themselves that the most diverse GOP coalition in our lifetimes elected Trump because they are all horrible racists. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. We do have some moderate Democrats who are actually willing to work with some Republicans on common sense policy. But what do they get in return? Oh, a whole lot of crazy rhetoric aimed against them from progressives and their media allies. Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, for one, he's being chastised by his own party for failing to dutifully freak out at the supposed horrors of the Trump administration. So here's a list that MSNBC put out that Fetterman's acts against the party. Offered positive comments about Trump's goal of acquiring Greenland. Met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Joined Trump's Truth Social media platform. Endorsed a presidential pardon for Trump, calling the New York case against the Republicans bullshit. Described Trump as a singular political talent. Met with Kash Patel and seemed reassured that the GOP operative said he wouldn't pursue the names on his enemies list if confirmed as the next FBI director. Co-sponsored the Republicans' Laken Riley Act. Do you see the problem with these people? Perfectly normal lawmaker things to do, but the way Democrats describe it, it's almost like Fetterman is committing treason against the party. It's not just Fetterman. Representative Richie Torres and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and even New York City Mayor Eric Adams have come to realize that most Americans, they want compromise. They want sound policies from Democrats, not a constant struggle session about the evils of Trump. But hey, if the majority of the party continues down this track of increasingly unpopular addiction to identity politics, well, they're probably going to end up getting wiped out again in 2028. Now, about USAID. To hear liberal critics describe it, President Donald Trump dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development is a disaster. But in reality, it's what happens when you let out-of-control officials disperse tens of billions of dollars in taxpayer-funded foreign aid. Now, going back in history, USAID was formed in 1961 to counter Soviet efforts to spread communism in the developing world, transition former communist countries into U.S. allies, and to respond to global disasters such as earthquakes, epidemics, famine, and war refugees. It did so well. But sometime during the Clinton administration, USAID began to promote radical social agendas such as population control. Under President Barack Obama, they ended up adding LGBT and climate ideologies. President Joe Biden took it over the top with transgenderism during his administration. Needless to say, guys, the agency that started out so well was eventually manipulated to skew far left and purged any conservatives and independents in its ranks. In short, USAID no longer represented America nor its values. Congress Republicans tried looking into it, but they just burned their bridges and refused any kind of oversight over the practices. In 2023, Senator Jody Ernst demanded to know the overhead charges of organizations and companies to see if they were overcharging taxpayers to carry out USAID programs. She was repeatedly stonewalled and her staff threatened. Eventually, she found out that half of aid funds was spent on overhead. A government audit the following year found that USAID could not account for overhead charges of over $142.5 billion in awards, billion with a B. In short, progressives were using USAID as this massive financial boon for their personal interests, all while ordinary Americans struggle to pay their bills.
Tonight, employees at this restaurant in Liberty say they feel shaken up after a federal operation earlier today. The Clay County Sheriff Will Aiken told Fox 4 agents showed up based on one person's warrant, but they left the restaurant taking a dozen employees with them. I'm Lauren Halifax.
I'm Kevin Barry. Fox 4's Jacob Sloan has been looking into this today. He spoke with the people at El Patro who were trying to stay open without 12 of their staff members.
The Clay County Sheriff's Office told us they were not a part of the operation here at El Potro. Sheriff Aiken only found out when he showed up to figure out what was going on. It happened around 10 a.m. Friday. Sheriff Aiken says he didn't know the operation was happening until he got a call.
I need to know what the heck's going on in my county. I mean, a federal agency is coming in and they're, conducting an operation. Again, if something happens in my county, I need to be prepared for that.
As soon as I heard, I hurried and made my way here. But unfortunately, when I got here, they already had them in the van, and they took 12 employees.
This video obtained by Fox 4 shows Homeland Security agents in El Potro Mexican Cafe in Liberty.
They come in here, they had guns, and they also had their face covered, and they blocked all the doors, and I mean, it just made everybody scared.
Sheriff Aiken says federal agents were on site for a single person's warrant related to child sex crimes.
What brought them there was that one person, but they were there for work site enforcement.
He says throughout the day, he saw misinformation shared on social media.
Really, it's gotten that far where we're afraid of brown people? Asinine. But no one is taking into consideration that perhaps federal agencies are just doing their job. So be responsible when you're exercising your First Amendment right, and don't believe everything that you see on social media.
At El Potro, they're open Friday night. Even the owner is helping out by washing dishes.
We're open, and we're just to be a little bit patient with us. It's Friday night, so we're always busy.
El Potro had to close another location in order to staff this one and keep it open. Sheriff Aiken says there may be more operations in the future. If there are any questions about those, to reach out to the sheriff's office.
Some people are saying that the sheriff should be fired. What do you guys think? Now, first, he was allowing someone wanted for sex crimes to just go ahead and roam free at a family restaurant. Second, he feels like ICE needs his permission to enter his county. But illegals don't need permission to enter our country. So who's wrong here? If the sheriff doesn't want to arrest individuals accused of these crimes, should he go ahead and get another job? Or should he be removed from his? What do you guys think? Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. I think the line's pretty clear. Commit a crime, you get deported. Just watch what happens to this green card holder detained by ICE. Here, watch.
A federal effort to crack down on immigration is affecting more than just those without documentation.
We're now learning what it could mean for green card holders with criminal records. WRO's Carly Haynes spoke with a Durham woman whose husband was arrested by ICE last week and could now be deported.
Illinois, and New York didn't listen. So now you're next. Millions of illegal aliens with violent records have flooded into our communities, bringing violence and deadly drugs with them. With me today, I'm so proud to be joined by Tammy Nobles. Tammy is an angel mom.
In yet another glaring example of Democratic-led failure, the Department of Justice, the DOJ, is stepping up to hold New York accountable for its reckless policies that have endangered American lives. Kathy Hochul, Letitia James, and other Democratic leaders have ignored repeated warnings and legal actions, choosing instead to protect sanctuary cities and prioritize migrants over American citizens. The result? Dangerous loopholes that have ultimately led families across New York. It left all these families in New York City at risk. Meanwhile, these so-called leaders, they just turn a blind eye to it. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. So Tammy Nobles, an angel mom, is the voice of those affected by these disastrous policies. Her daughter, Kayla, became yet another victim of this failed system. Health and Human Services irresponsibly fell short of their responsibilities. Instead of enforcing accountability for those crossing the border, Kathy Hochul's administration allowed this tragedy to happen by refusing to secure the state's borders and to protect its people. This isn't just incompetence, it's ideological negligence on the part of Democrats. Kathy Hochul and Letitia James, they've made it very clear that their priority is virtue signaling, about migrants rather than ensuring the safety of citizens who elected them. Now, policies like New York's outrageous green light law will give illegal migrants special protections while tying the hands of law enforcement. Brave officers are stripped of the ability to check identities or even access criminal records, leaving them vulnerable and unable to safeguard our communities.
Every single day to protect us. And what New York has, they have green light laws, meaning they're giving a green light to any illegal alien in New York, where law enforcement officers cannot check their identity if they pull them over. Law enforcement officers do not have access to their background. And if these great men and women pull over someone and don't have access to their background, they have no idea who they're dealing with. And it puts their lives on the line every single day. Violent criminals, gang members, drug traffickers, human smugglers will no longer terrorize the American people. And that is why we are here today. You will be held accountable if you do not follow federal law. It's over, it ends, and we're coming after you.
Wow. So thankfully, President Trump and his allies like Bondi here in the DOJ, they're taking bold steps to end this madness. In fact, Tom Homan has actually called out these sanctuary cities policies for what they truly are. They're a dangerous gamble with public safety. Now, under Trump's leadership, New York and other states that refuse to comply with federal laws are finally being held accountable. And this is not about politics. It's about protecting Americans, and it's about ensuring that no family is left to suffer because of failed Democrat policies.
Federal law, we will hold you accountable. We did it to Illinois, strike one. Strike two is New York. And if you are a state not complying with federal law, you're next. Get ready.
Call. Has he been transferred out? After call. I just need to know where my husband is. Heather Spink is trying to track down her husband, Zaryab Hassan. I'm tired. I get nowhere. It seems like I'm running in circles. Last Wednesday, he was in Durham. 24 hours later, the federal immigration's website listed him in ICE custody in Stuart, Georgia. This is the scariest thing I've ever had to go through. And there's nothing I can do. Her husband has had this green card since 2003. In 2022, he faced felony drug charges, including death by distribution. He went on probation as part of a plea deal, then last week met with his probation officer. As soon as he walked in, the probation officer took him to a conference room, and there were 4 ICE police in there, and they instantly said, "Put your hands behind your back." ICE arrests at probation meetings aren't new, but immigration attorneys say they could happen more often now, with the president's emphasis on deporting some immigrants and securing the country's borders.
Well, I do think that there is a heightened level of enforcement. There is a very clear message from this administration that they are going to detain and remove as many individuals as they can.
Court records show Spink's husband faced more felony charges in 2024, including possession of a firearm by a felon. It's unclear whether the original charges he took the plea deal for or these more recent ones led to the arrest. But Durham attorney Yesenia Polanco Galdames says the original drug charges could still be grounds for deportation.
What happens is that the individual may not really appreciate or comprehend the consequences of their plea, and they agree to either accept a plea agreement where they plead guilty or maybe a deferred prosecution for an underlying crime that makes them deportable.
We asked immigration attorney Chris Barnes about the timeline.
It could be that this individual was just recently flagged and became on ICE's radar. It could be a ramping up of enforcement from ICE.
Spink is watching what this means for her husband, who's now states away. Nobody knows. Nobody's talking about it. So here we are.
I mean, this policy isn't anything new. It's been there forever. A green card holder can get deported for criminal offenses. I mean, think about it this way. A green card is kind of like a probationary pass to allow you to work. To commit a crime, it's revoked and you're gone. And now with Trump's administration, they actually mean it. That includes lawmakers who step out of line too. So, for example, squad member House Representative Ilhan Omar has officially been put on notice by Representative Brandon Gill, who urged his supporters to back the petition in a recent fundraising email. Because see, leaked footage came out last week of Ilhan Omar advising Somali-born constituents on what to do if they're questioned by ICE officials. Now, as Gill said in his fundraising email, we should never let Ilhan Omar into our country. Now, a little bit of background on the squad member Congresswoman. Ilhan Omar, who is the first Somali American in Congress, came to the United States as a refugee in 1995 during the Somali Civil War. She became a citizen in 2000 when she was 17. In his email, Gill accused Ilhan Omar of facilitating a full-scale invasion of our country. He talked about the Congresswoman's free workshops for Somalians who are in our country illegally on how to evade ICE and deportation. So according to the congressman, it could not be more blatant. Ilhan Omar is more loyal to illegal Somalians than she is to the United States or the office that she was elected to. It's an absolute disgrace. So this next line in particular kind of got a lot of people riled up. He said, "I have my fill of foreigners storming our border, complaining about and disparaging our country, and then helping more and more of them invade our lands. And I know the American people are too." Now, Ilhan Omar's response, big surprise, she called the congressman racist and quite frankly fascist, and that threatening to deport a legal U.S. citizen because you disagree with them is directly out of President Trump's fascist playbook. She also said that she hopes Representative Gill stops threatening Americans that disagree with him. I don't know, you guys. Isn't that exactly what they're doing over on their side? Now, I still remember President Biden saying that we've got to get Trump. Why? Just because the man disagrees with him. And come on, guys, calling the congressman a racist and a fascist? Now, that's something directly out of the Democrats' playbook, is it not? Drop a quick yes in the comments down below. Hit the like button if I'm making sense to you guys here. Also, you can subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell for more updates like this one. But let's go ahead and dive back in. As I've been saying, we're not just working against the enemy outside. There's also the enemy within. Border Czar Tom Homan recently accused the FBI of leaking information about the ICE raids. Here, check this out. Now, that would definitely be something, wouldn't it? So what do you guys think? Do you feel a safer America coming on the horizon? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts, guys. More suggested videos for you as well at the end of this one. Thanks so much for hitting the like button and subscribing. We'll see you next time.